Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tokyo Recruiter. I'm your host, Levi, and thank you for being here. If you don't know me already, I am a trainer for recruiters in Tokyo that want to bill more, and I'm also a coach for people who are at a transition point in their lives and trying to figure out what's next. I know recruitment is not an easy game. I was in the industry and I saw firsthand how much of a struggle that it can be at times. But I hope that this is a reminder to you not to give up and also that there are many different paths to success. That's really what this series is about, the different styles and strategies that you can use to become a success in the recruitment industry in Tokyo. If you're interested in more strategies or just talking at all about where you're at and your situation, then please feel free to message me. I also run events in Tokyo for recruiters as well as events outside of Tokyo to take a break from the hustle and bustle, get out to the ocean side, do some farming, meditation, all that good stuff. So today's guest is Samantha Hanley from 10th Revolution. You've probably heard about them already because they're quite active on LinkedIn, and they've grown at the time of this podcast from 5 people to 24 people. I'm not sure how many at the moment, but they're continuing to expand rapidly, and Japan is definitely a focus. For Samantha herself, she's someone who has a unique global perspective, having recruited in Singapore and Switzerland, now Tokyo. She is definitely a prominent female leader, and that shouldn't be something that is special, but in this industry in Tokyo, it is quite rare to find a woman in a leadership position. So I hope that you find this episode interesting to learn a little bit more about her, what has led her to success, and also what is it like to work at a place like 10th Revolution. Feel free to reach out to her if you're seeing this and you resonate with what she's talking about. I hope you enjoy. Thank you for coming on the podcast, and I guess welcome to Tokyo. You're now in, is this your second month or
Well, no, I think
first,
it's more like my third week.
or third week? Okay,
Yeah.
almost one
So
full month.
exactly, which feels already like a lifetime. But
Mm-hmm.
my official relocation to Tokyo was the beginning of February. So it's been a it's been a crazy month, but yeah, very happy to be here now.
Awesome. And I always start off by asking people what brought them into the industry, and usually people joining the industry in Tokyo. So you have two separate stories to tell us, but could you give us a little
Yeah.
background about, yeah, what led you into recruitment and then what brought you to Tokyo?
Yeah, sure. I actually started my recruitment career in Singapore. I was very lucky that my parents they lived and worked in Singapore. I was in the UK at the time, but I would travel to and from Singapore to go on holiday there, and I went for Christmas and New Year's one year and never returned to the UK. Decided that sunny Singapore was a much better place to live. Um, but it was one of those situations where I didn't go down I think the very natural route of university or anything like this. I grew up in a very small town in the countryside, moved to London when I was 18 to experience city life. So when I arrived in Singapore, the visa situation is quite challenging if you haven't been to university and you hold a degree. So I didn't really know what to do, but I knew that I needed a visa to stay living in Singapore. So spoke to my sister who studied in Singapore, some of her friends, and again they said, "Oh, what about recruitment?" Never heard of recruitment before, didn't know anything about it. I think like so many of us, we fall into it. So interviewed with a bunch of big recruitment agencies, Hayes being one of them. And that's how it all started, really. So I was fortunate enough to be granted a work visa. Hayes at the time was a very large office in Singapore. So I joined as an associate recruitment consultant into accountancy and finance, which I mean I knew nothing about, but was very happy that I had this visa and living in this country. So worked very hard and followed the natural course of progression. So and then throughout the years, the relocations from Singapore to Switzerland and now Tokyo, um, has been through a transition of with Hayes and now with 10th Revolution Group. So Yes, it's been a long journey. I can't even think how many years in recruitment it's been now, but it's definitely opened my eyes. I've been very fortunate to experience a lot of different cultures and how people work and with different teams. But yeah, so my recruitment, I fell into it because I needed a visa.
Mm,
But I
interesting.
love it.
And nice. And then you said your third week now in Tokyo, and what brought you to Tokyo?
Yeah, so I was based in Switzerland, and I was responsible for managing all of our perm recruitment business across Geneva and Zurich. Um, our financial year was coming to an end last November, and our CEO spoke to us and about the opportunity of APAC because it's one of our key strategic priorities for FY25. Um, Before I knew it, I was on a plane from Switzerland to Asia. But long story short, I have a dog, and I couldn't come straight from Switzerland to Japan with my dog because she would have to go through 6 months of quarantine, which was not an option. So I went via Singapore. So I actually last August relocated to Singapore, and I spent another 6 months in Singapore before then just relocating in February to Tokyo with where she doesn't have to do any quarantine. So it's been a crazy 6 months of traveling to and from Singapore to Tokyo, just to again try and be present here with the team.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I think just the opportunity of being part of a business where there's a huge market here and so much potential. We're very much in growth stage at the moment. We've sort of laid down our foundations now, but yeah, the aim over the course of the next few years will be to really grow, take market share, introduce our brands, and just support our customers more efficiently. So yeah, it's a big opportunity. I'm now vice president here in Tokyo. I lead our permanent recruitment business for our ERP, CRM, cloud, software engineering brands. Um, so it's an exciting role, challenging, but super fun.
mm. And how many people are in the Tokyo office right now?
So now today we have, I think, about 24. Given that six
Okay.
months ago it was, I think, about 5 people. Um,
Wow.
so
Wow. And we'll see
it's been a
6 months
busy six
after
months.
this is
Yeah.
recorded.
Well, yeah, true. And we're not stopping. So
Hmm.
so yeah, it's grown very quickly. We've got some brilliant people that have joined us, to launch some of our practices within my brands. So I'm excited, very excited.
Hmm. So I want to go back to you in a moment and kind of your journey in recruitment and some struggles that you went through. But first, I'm curious since we're on the topic of the company and 10th
Yeah.
Revolution, can you tell us a little bit about what makes it unique as a player?
Yes, and it's quite an easy one for me to answer, having worked in a very large, generic recruitment agency, and then switching into 10th Revolution Group. We're very unique in the way our business is structured. We're not structured like a recruitment agency. We're structured like an IT function. So we specialize purely in tech recruitment, and that's what our clients love because they're able to relate to how our business is structured. So for example, our ERP and our CRM brands, we have a team that specializes purely in Microsoft Dynamics, a team that specializes just in Salesforce, SAP, ServiceNow, etc., etc. So when we go out and we speak to our customers, we're speaking to the leaders of those technologies. So they're able to understand and relate to what we're talking about. Our consultants then, have a network and understand the ecosystem of that technology. So the positioning of that is very powerful, and that's our structure globally. We have very strong relationships with the vendors as well, themselves. So where we partner with them, that's also very interesting for consultancies or end users as well. So that's really the biggest difference, between us and another agency, and what I think is really unique about how our business works. We're owned by a private equity firm, so there's always a lot of change, but it's always in a positive way, and so that's also very exciting. When now we're in Japan as an example, the growth and the investment that they're putting into this country is huge, and just creates then a lot of opportunity for ambitious people that want to accelerate their career, just like I did with my own career. I wouldn't have had the promotions or the opportunities with maybe another agency, but I have had that with 10th Revolution Group. So I think that's also very interesting for people that want to do that with their careers. So I think they're the two biggest things that really stand out for 10th Revolution Group.
So what kind of person would you recommend 10th Revolution for in terms of, I guess, the personality or their style of recruitment or lack of
Yeah,
style and yeah.
yeah. I mean, the biggest one is the drive and the ambition. If somebody wants to come and sit on a very hot desk, not really have to do too much output, this is not the place for you. For
Mm,
someone that wants to come in and be part of a journey and see a business grow and be and
mm,
accept, like I said, and accelerate a career, that's the type of person that we're looking for. So someone that's really driven. We work very hard here, but we reward, equally. We have a lot of fun. Our commission scheme is fantastic, and I've done a lot of interviews over the last 6 months whilst we've been trying to grow, and really the commission structure is brilliant. The incentive trips are very rewarding as well. They take you all over the world, but the people that we need here and that we want here are like-minded, so they want to be part of this journey. And it's exciting when I feel the energy of the consultants that we have in this office. It's high. It's not a 9 to 5. People want to do more. So, and it comes from them. It's a lot of self motivation as well. Of course, leaders are here to support and give direction, but it really comes from within the consultant to want to be able to do it, because at the end of the day, I'm not the person picking up the phone for you.
mm,
um, so yeah, and I'm very transparent with that when I'm interviewing people, and I also get it, having been on both sides. So
mhm,
yeah, for people that really want to achieve something, you can do that here. And the other point as well with us is you never have to be in a position for a certain period of time. We're purely results based. So at the moment, we have a big, a team of consultants, but maybe not team leaders or maybe a lot of managers, and it's there for the taking. There is no, this person is the one that we've decided to promote to a manager in 2 years' time. That's not the
mm,
case. It's who's showing us that they're going to be that manager, or who's showing us that they're going to be that top biller. It's very much there for the taking for everybody.
mm,
And that's also, I think, unique for a recruitment business.
mm. Yeah, definitely. I think there, especially in Japan, maybe there's some element of, you're here longer, so you get promoted. And it
Yeah,
sounds nice that it's just purely a meritocracy. I've heard it in,
absolutely.
other companies as well. And I'm not sure if you're allowed to go into the details of the commission structure on here, or if people should just talk to you directly about that.
They can talk to me directly. That's good,
Okay.
but it's very, but it's interesting. And if you're a
Okay.
top performing consultant, it's very interesting. You can make 50% of your fees. So
I mean, that's crazy. I don't think I've heard 50%
yeah,
basically by 95% of the companies out there. So that's pretty
yeah,
huge.
same. And like I said, I've interviewed many people, but again, we want to motivate top
Mm,
performers. We want to give them
mm-hmm,
that. So it was
mm-hmm.
important for us to have something very competitive.
Awesome. Um, and in terms of, I guess, your your journey then as well. You've worked in multiple geographies and now Japan. Have you, I don't know if it's been long enough for you to see any differences between Japan, Singapore, Switzerland, or at least between Singapore and Switzerland, but could you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, I mean, although it has just been a few weeks, say being based here in Japan, I've had a few months sort of backwards and forth. I mean, the biggest difference, which is still crazy to me, is that it's such a candidate short market. Yet we are in a city with millions of people. Uh, the business and the need and demand from our customers is massive. Hence why we still need to hire more and more people. Yet the ability to find good candidates or a volume of candidates seems to be the biggest challenge compared to the Swiss market or the Singapore market, which is the complete opposite. Um,
Hmm.
it's going to find customers that want to work with you and build relationships that tend to be more of the challenge rather than being able to provide candidates. So that's the biggest difference. Um, for myself, being British and an English
Hmm.
speaker only, coming into Japan, sometimes it's hard. Not everybody speaks English, so
Hmm.
I think for me that's definitely been one of the challenges. Of course, the customers that say I'm communicating with tend to be very senior people within global organizations. So there's normally a level of English where we're able to communicate. But I do notice that, for the consultants that don't speak Japanese fluently, that's definitely, a challenge for them. But then they just have to do more. um,
Hmm.
but then, for myself, I've never actually recruited in the UK. So
Hmm.
even in Switzerland, I started in Geneva, which was French speaking, and everyone would tell you that my French is very bad, although I think it's good. And then in Zurich, the German side of the country as well, and I'll admit to that, I don't speak German at all. And now Japan. So, and I've still managed to be very successful. So although it's maybe a challenge, it's something that I think is very easy to overcome depending on the level of work that you put in. But yeah, between all the countries, yeah, what I notice is the difference in the candidate short or the job short markets. But what I see in Japan is such an opportunity with companies. They need us, they want to build relationships, and I love that. So that's exciting.
Excellent, excellent. And I mean, this is one cultural difference. I don't know if you've seen already, but you happen to be the first woman that is on my podcast as a recruiter. I've had some other
Oh,
people that
really?
were recruiters, but
Okay.
you're the first woman really. So I think the leadership level in Tokyo, you know, it's still very male dominant.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if this was even a factor for you when you were in Singapore, or in Switzerland, or if like the what the women kind of initiatives look like, or if it's just kind of common sense, like of course,
Yeah.
we want you.
Yeah, I mean, for Singapore, I was still in my early days of recruitment,
Hmm.
associate consultant, senior consultant. So I was never in a leadership position when I first started. In Switzerland, though, interestingly, I think we had more women managers than we did men, or it was
Interesting.
very, very even. Our CEO
Hmm.
is a female. She's actually coming to visit us in April, which is
Oh
so I'm
wow.
going to take her to some of our clients just to introduce her. But
Hmm.
it is definitely true that since I've been exposed to the Japan market and interviewing people that I've noticed it's more male heavy when it comes to leadership. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Um, I've not managed to explore that yet.
Hmm.
Again, in 10th Revolution Group, it's it's not a topic,
Hmm.
clearly.
Yeah.
uh, and like I mentioned earlier, it's really based purely on results. So
Yeah.
whether all the males that are performing better, then they get
Mm.
promoted. If it's all the females, they get promoted. If it's a mix, it's very open.
That's
We
beautiful.
we want good people.
Yeah, and that's really what's most important for the business at the end of the
Yeah, I
day,
think so.
really.
Of
So,
course,
but
of
it's
course.
great
It's
to
good to
see
have a
it.
mix.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice to see. And
Thanks.
yeah, and also for yourself, I mean, I know that recruitment has a lot of ups and downs. And clearly you've been in the industry for a while and you've seen some. Can you talk a little bit about just just some challenging time that you got through? Maybe you felt like you wanted to even leave the industry, or you just felt like there was this obstacle that you had to overcome, and how did you do so?
Yeah, I think the most challenging time that I've had was probably when I left my previous recruitment company to joining 10th Revolution Group, because the business is so different. Um, we actually started the business in Switzerland, so there were no people in Switzerland. So we're a global business, but they wanted to launch the Swiss business. So we started out, five of us. We were in a tiny little office with one very small window, and we were basically given a laptop and told to make some money. Um, where do you start? It's like you go all the way back to being that associate and thinking, right, this is what I need to do. This is my day plan. And that was probably one of the most challenging times. Very exciting at the same time, but very challenging in terms of that there was so much to do and pressure as well. I mean, it turned out to be a very, very good year for me, my first year.
Mhm.
But it was definitely, yeah, one of the most challenging times that I can talk about. Um, I think we all know that the COVID years in tech recruitment were fantastic. Some of the best. And I think and of course I was based in Switzerland at the time, and having come out of COVID and into what I know as a normal recruitment market, a lot of consultants then found that very difficult. So a lot of companies, they grew and they grew and they grew, throughout those years. And then it was a case maybe from 2023, yeah, mid 2023, that it was okay, right, how productive are we really? And then it becomes quite challenging. We're removing headcount of the low performers. It affects the culture. It's the ripple effect of that, and that as a leader was very difficult to try and keep motivating junior consultants and consultants that have never seen people leave before, and that's very difficult. It never made me want to leave the industry. I value the industry so much, and I've never really felt like I've ever wanted to leave. Because really what I understand about recruitment is the career is very much up to the individual. I'm still very ambitious myself, and I know that this industry will continue to give me the career that I want if I perform.
Mm.
um, and I really value and appreciate that about the recruitment industry, and like I said before, when I just fell into recruitment, I wish I'd known about it. I wish I knew that this is what the industry offers people. Um, but yes, I think the biggest challenge, or most challenging times. So yeah, launching the Swiss business,
Mhm.
challenging and exciting, and then yeah, coming out of that COVID wave of maybe having to remove some headcount, still try to motivate consultants, and teach them that this is a normal recruitment market. We need to do more work to get the same result. Um, was tough.
Mhm.
And I think for every agency and every leader that you speak to, they would say the same thing about coming out of those years.
Yeah, but it seems like you've made it out of this, and in terms of
Yes.
the company, also kind of upwards trajectory as well. So,
And I
um,
think
mm,
even when I was a recruitment consultant, we all go through a few stages where, we have a couple of months that are a bit dry, and it's
mm-hmm,
how do you self-motivate? How do you remind
mm,
yourself, why you're working here? What do you want to
mm-hmm,
achieve? And that's then the difference, right? You either then drop off and decide, I can't do this, or you then push through. And it was the same mindset that I then applied to the management side as well, you know. This has been great. This has now been difficult, but what are we going to try and do to keep achieving? You know, and of course then throughout then the following year, the opportunity for Japan then came up. So this was, you know, this was a fantastic role and couldn't say no.
And you like the challenge, it sounds like.
No, I love it.
And and you're talking about, how do you self-motivate and looking at your why and things like this. I'm curious for yourself just to get a little bit more understanding about maybe the day a day in the life and what you do like as a stress management technique or your hobbies outside of work that help or something else that keeps you going,
Yeah,
basically. What keeps you
yeah.
going?
Well, apart from hiding somewhere for 5 minutes during the day just to breathe,
Hmm.
I'm a very keen runner, actually.
Okay.
I'm an early riser. My alarm
Mm-hmm.
is maybe about 5:30. It would be earlier if my husband let me set it earlier, but 5:30 is the accepting time. And
Mm-hmm.
I run on the
Mm.
treadmill mostly, sometimes outside depending on the weather. Um, Normally long distance. So I wake up, I run 20 kilometers. Lots of people think it's all a bit mad, but I do
Wow.
that most days, and that's my time, and that's my I don't need to think. If I'm on a treadmill, I'm not going anywhere, so I don't need to think. I don't need
Mm.
to stress. My phone is turned upside down. I have either music in my ears or I'm listening to Gossip Girl, and and that's my not. I don't even know if it's my stress release, but that's what sets me for my day, and that's when I get to work. Having done that exercise or that run, I feel productive. I feel good. I feel ready. I can't exercise after work when the working day is done. For me, I am home to a glass of wine.
Nice.
So it's about balance. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love to run. Of course, like I said earlier, I have a dog and I love to go to the mountains, and cold weather for me is the best. So I'm very happy that it's snow season here in Japan at the moment. So, but yeah, it's up early, it's exercise, and it's start early.
Did you always have those habits, like even from when you were an associate, or did you develop them somehow along the way, or?
Um, I think I've always exercised. The running sort of became more of an obsession when I entered the London Marathon and got in and then had to train long distance. And then it was one of those, instead of waking up in the morning and running 10 kilometers, that then felt like a warm up. So I felt like I then needed to do 20K. Um,
Wow.
and so
Wow.
that then became the daily routine, which now unfortunately has given me a very bad injury on my foot. So
Oh.
I've learnt my lesson, but maybe overdid it slightly. But um, I've always been up early. Um, I don't know why. The brain wakes up and says, right, come on. um, and that's what I enjoy.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think the mornings here are quite nice. They're a little bit
Yeah,
quieter, and
yeah,
it's hard to find that in the evening, like you said, unless it's quite late. So that's
yes.
and there's a lot of other recruiters I've talked to that are runners. So I think there's something
Okay.
about maybe the masochism in the industry and the
I think so.
that mindset,
Yeah,
um,
it's the discipline as
the
well,
discipline,
right?
the
Running
discipline.
is one of those sports that the mind plays tricks on you, from
Mm,
that 15 kilometer, or even if I'm doing a long, long run at 30K, everything's saying stop. And it's a
mm,
battle with your own mind. And when you battle your own mind and you
mm-hmm,
and you win, I feel like a
mm-hmm.
lot of that can be applied to the recruitment world. Maybe many roles, but I, I
Hmm.
feel I feel it does me good.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're getting told no, no, no from every angle, right? I mean, it's a game
Yeah,
of rejection, right? And if you're learning to deal with that and move forward,
yeah,
when it's your own mind telling you no, then what's to
yeah,
stop you from all these other clients
Yeah,
and candidates
true.
telling you no. So,
What I did see this morning was I was walking the dog in Yoyogi Park, and it's the Tokyo
mm,
Marathon this weekend on
mm,
Sunday. So all the runners are out doing their shakeout runs, and I unfortunately am, because of my injury, I'm not in a position to be able to take part. But it hurt my heart slightly. But then I thought, you know what, this is fantastic. Like, look at all of them out, and yeah, it's a
mm,
beautiful day again in Japan. So
hmm.
I will be watching it
Nice.
on Sunday.
Awesome. Yeah, and the plum blossoms are starting to bloom
Yes,
a bit, and the
I'm very
cherries are coming
excited.
after. So you're here at a
Never
great
seen it
time.
before. Yeah, very
Yeah,
excited. So much to see.
wonderful. Nice. So if people are interested in 10th Revolution, should they reach out to yourself on LinkedIn
Please.
or okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
I welcome any first conversation.
Hmm.
Again, this market is still relatively new for me, so I'm always
Hmm.
interested to understand people's backgrounds, what they want. Is there an opportunity that matches or we can offer to that person? Yeah, very, very open, and we're growing. We're still in growth phase.
Hmm.
Like I mentioned, we have a team of consultants, but there's still a lot of opportunity for anyone that joins us to take whichever role they want. So
Hmm.
yes, please
You're
call
okay for
me.
people that people that don't have any recruitment experience, for example, or you have to have over 2 years of experience in the industry in tech, or who should reach out?
No, I mean, recruitment experience is definitely preferred. I think where I am at the moment, I mean, I have about 12 direct reports, which is too many.
Hmm.
Whilst we're still trying to build these layers. So for someone to come in with no recruitment experience, it would be
Mm.
difficult. What we don't require is tech experience. If you are
Hmm.
a high performing biller, or a good person or someone that wants to, build a career in tech, but maybe your industry has been pharmaceuticals or finance, then I'm very open to talking. For me, again, and I started in accountancy and finance in Singapore, in Switzerland, then I did sales and marketing, and then I transitioned into IT. I don't believe that you need to have stayed in the same, say, industry or same desk to be successful. It's certainly not been the case for me. So um, any industry for me is okay. Years of experience, again, I don't like to put a number on it because there's a lot of people that have a year of experience who are fantastic, and you see the potential in them and the drive, and they're the types of people that we also want in terms of a personality. So it matches our culture here. But if someone also has 6 years of experience, then great. 6 years of experience, but no bad habits.
Mm. Probably rare to find,
Wow.
but that's the world that
Wash them
we're
out.
in, I
That's
think. So
okay.
yeah. Thank you. Is there anything else that you wanted to share before we log off?
Um, oh gosh, I don't think so. We spoke a lot. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, no problem.
Pleasure. First time I've done a podcast, so
Nice.
it was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad. I think it was good to get to know you a bit better, and hopefully this is useful for for people that are watching and want to know more about you or 10th Revolution. So
Thank you.
much appreciated again, and
Thank you
yeah, we'll
very
talk soon.
much. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
Levi. Take care.